Alright, video blog number 2. So this last week I've spent all my time putting together show apps, writing checks, signing contracts, and although that sounds all fun and glorious, it's a lot of work and it's all the work that nobody ever sees. So I'm just going to chat about the different types of shows, the apps, and maybe just give some advice if you're new on what can maybe help you get your foot in the door to some of these shows. So stay tuned. So show applications, the hidden world behind Handmade. So without sending in applications, you wouldn't see us at any shows. It's just as simple as that. There's a few different types of shows out there. One is the bigger shows usually have re-signs. So once you get in, you just re-sign and you get to come back the next year. It's also the shows that newer makers tend to hate, just because in order to get in, for the most part, somebody else has to leave. So it's kind of a catch-22. It works out well for a maker like myself. If you're in the show, it's awesome because you build up a good relationship with those shows and your customers know where to find you. But yeah, it's also nice that a certain category doesn't get overfilled, because if a certain category has too many makers in it, it actually ends up hurting all the makers. So it's kind of a love-hate, I guess. So if you're a new maker, keep applying for the shows if you haven't got in. If you're lucky, maybe it's just a category that isn't as competitive and you'll be straight in, or maybe you're just awesome. That was the case too. The other type of shows are all the summer festivals. And even though you can establish relationships, and certain festivals I've done over and over and over again, I have to apply every year, just like everyone else. And yeah, I've totally gotten the rejection letter, gotten the no. So yeah, it's a little bit up in the air every season where I'll be, which is why I can never be that sure. Of course, I send in the best app I can, but who knows, right? It just depends who applies that year, because every year it's juried, and on top of it, the jury can be different people. So whether they know you or not, it can mean absolutely nothing. The other type of shows I do are my farmers markets, which for the most part, I still have to apply, but if you have been there before, you get back in. So it is kind of like a re-sign in some sense, but I do have to send in an application every single year, regardless. This year, though, is it's kind of exciting. So I have applied to do, I think it's three new shows I've never done, and one of them means going to a city I've never been to. So even after 9 years, there's new cities to explore. And if you're a new maker, sometimes the smaller cities and the smaller shows are some of your best shows. So that's a little trick as well. If you just stay in Edmonton, it's just way more competitive, where if you kind of go to the smaller towns, you'll maybe have some good success. It's one of those things, we all started somewhere. I started doing shows, just, small little shows with like 30 vendors. We all started there. And I think that's part of the draw to Handmade, is you see a show and you're like, I can make that. Like, I got this talent, sort of thing. But the reality is, the people that have sometimes been at those bigger shows have been at it for a long time. So they have a certain amount of reputation and a certain amount of just, I guess, knowledge. If you saw some of my first show applications, pretty bad. I'm lucky that my background is photography, so I can take a nice photo if I need to and send them in for my show apps. But I think that's where a lot of people genuinely fail, is if the photos are horrible, it does no justice to your applications. So if I can give any advice, is keep applying for tons of shows and make sure those photos are bang on. Yeah, and I guess just get to know people, do lots of shows, and yeah, maker life is kind of fun. It's a little bit unknown and up in the air, a little stressful at times, or you spend a whole week doing applications and just writing checks. So I'm not going to look at my bank account. I'm not going to look at all the checks coming out, and we're just going to cross our fingers that all the new shows I apply to, I get in, so I can meet some new people, and also I get back into all the shows I've done before. So fingers crossed. And yeah, if you have any questions, send me a message. And if there's any topics you're curious about, yeah, maybe I'll chat about them here. But until next time, we'll figure out a new topic. I might have some very exciting news to share in the next few weeks, so I'll be back here quickly. So have a great week, everyone. See ya.